Welcome to GCCars, my name is Eric and this is the Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid. So first of all, welcome to Chrysler on the channel, one of the very few brands we were still missing. And of course they gave us one of the two cars they still have. I mean, they have this, also called the Grand Caravan here, or the Voyager for the lower trim models, and of course the Chrysler 300, which is in its last model year. So this is literally the last Chrysler for now. And it's a minivan. Minivans are always fun. They might not seem very fun, but they actually are. Once you get them, I always love to have them. And we've had the Kia Carnival last year, and that was actually really good. Loaded with tech, super comfy, drove well. So can this Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid compete? Well, we shall find out. As always, we're going to take a look at the exterior first, then we're going to take a look at the interior, all three rows, and then we're going to drive in the end. We're going to sum it all up in the final thoughts. Starting off with the exterior, and I think the Pacifica actually looks pretty good. First of all, the color's amazing. It's velvet red pearl, very nice and flaky, and once the sunlight hits it, it gets like really nice and light red colored, but it has really dark red tones everywhere there's a bit of shade. We have the S appearance package, which gives you some of the blackouts here up front, the black wheels, which, by the way, these are 18-inch wheels. We just have so much tire sidewall that they look like 16s or 17s. And of course, we have a charging port over here. And yes, it's a design we've known for a couple of years, but overall, I think it has aged fairly well. Yes, of course, it's still a minivan, so you can't expect it to like blow you away. But for what it is, I think they did a fairly good job. But how about we take a look at the exterior? Sorry, interior, of course. Okay, let's talk Chrysler Pacifica interior. And as you expect, it's a minivan. It's gonna be super comfy. We have our armrest up here. We have a low belt line on the windows. We can rest our arm up there. It is comfy. But let's talk a bit about the materials. All the touch points, steering wheel here in the door, and this is all nice plush leathers. There are plastics littered throughout. Yes, it's not like a luxury car per se, but these are still soft leather, so I don't mind it too much. Usability is really good. First of all, we have wireless chargers down here. We have big cubbies, cup holders, big center console. All that is sorted out really well. And in terms of like using the actual functions, we have like 4 rotary dials up here, which is quite a lot. And one of them is even the transmission dial. I know a lot of people don't like this, but honestly, I just don't mind because it cleans up this space. Most of the HVAC controls are in here, except for heated seats, heated steering wheel, and ventilated seats, which are unfortunately in the infotainment, but there's a shortcut just up top all the time, so it's easy to reach. And otherwise, Uconnect 5, we've already had it in the Jeep Grand Cherokee, is a good system. Wireless Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay. Although, to be fair, the Pacifica had a few issues connecting to my S21 Plus. Occasionally I had to restart the car for it to actually be able to permanently connect. Other than that though, like the screen, like the system. Our gauge cluster mixed analog and digital. It's very hybrid-y, so you have a lot of like hybrid specific information like charging and power consumption. Works very well though. All the info you need is on there, but nothing that's really too cluttered. And of course we have a big sunroof, and it's just good. Honestly, it might not be as techy as a Kia Carnival. You don't have the big screens littered across the dashboard, but it's comfy, and that's really the most important part in a minivan. But what's also important in a minivan is the second and the third row. So how about we take a look at that? Of course, it's a minivan. We just need to press one button and our door opens electronically. We have a handle up here, and now we can close the door. And we have already plenty of space, but we want to be a little more comfy, right? So we can obviously either slide a little forward if we want to give more room to a third row passenger. We can recline quite a bit. I wish these would go a little lower because it would be nice if they could be flat when I'm reclined like that, but honestly, it's still totally fine. I am adequately comfortable, more than adequately actually. Let's bring this back up here. You can even remove these seats if you need like total storage, by the way. You can just completely take them out. We have our sunshades, but come on. I am notoriously bad with sunshades, by the way. I'm never able to like swiftly take them on and off. We have our rear infotainment system, which is actually Fire TV based. So we have our remote, you know, if you have a Fire TV, you know it. So we have a Prime Video, Netflix, Prime, Fire TV, Disney Plus. We have infotainment stuff. So if you want to look at the navigation, for example. And then you can log in, and using Wi-Fi, everybody can watch videos. So you can watch different videos. You can have the audio play through our 20-speaker Harman Kardon system, which actually is quite nice. Not the best, but very nice actually for a minivan. And no, this is neat. Like, you will be not only comfy, but entertained in the second row. We even have more cup holders and a big cubby if you need that right down below. And of course, you can see out of this sunroof. This is comfy. This is great. In terms of third row, well, it is quite comfy. It is quite spacious. I like it. I could personally sit there for quite a long time. Would I still prefer the third row of it like a Tahoe or a Suburban? Personally, yes. But unless you go for a full-size SUV, you won't have it better than a minivan in terms of third row space. Totally adequate for adults, and there will be comfy in there. So yeah, I think this concludes our interior segment. It's a minivan. It's great. It's always great. You just like plethora of features and comfort. How about we take a look at the trunk and the cargo space? I hope I was better hidden than in my Carnival video. So the good thing about minivans is you have plenty of storage. The bad thing is it means it's a lot of work for me to actually get in and out of these. Oh God. I still don't know why I'm doing this, but whatever. Comedy. Like this, we have 32.3 cubic feet of space, which is already plenty for pretty much anything you might need. Of course, because it goes nice and low, it's not sliding around as much, but if you need more storage space, well, you just pull this one, and then you pull that one, and they fold flat. Once again, pop that down, and then there we go. And 87.5 cubic feet, plenty of space. And like I said, you can take, I don't know why it's beeping at me, it does that all the time. You can take these out, and then you get a whopping 140.5 cubic feet of space. Actually, I think 5 cubic feet short of the Kia Carnival, but at that point, like, who cares? You can get a whole sofa in here, or camp, or whatever you do. It is extremely spacious. With that being said, I think it is time for us to hit the road and see how this Chrysler Pacifica drives. Okay, now out on the road in the Chrysler Pacifica. As always, we start off with a launch. So traction control off, brake torque, slight delay, and off we go. Very linear, but obviously not very fast. I mean, it's a minivan, who cares? Like, we weren't even that much charged up because we're quite a bit away from my home, so I couldn't charge anywhere here. Well, I just ran out basically, but that's totally fine. It is, I think, like 7.8 seconds to 60 miles an hour, so whatever. We don't really care about it. But what kind of engine do we have? We have a 3.6 liter Pentastar naturally aspirated V6, mated with 2 electric motors to a CVT, and honestly, it's a very nice drivetrain. It's a very comfortable and easy to use drivetrain. It's very smooth. Now you gotta bear in mind, every time we're driving right now, because we pretty much don't have any battery and it only can use the electricity we regain from braking, it is less smooth than it is if you drive it like when you charge at home or you charge it at work, what I do, for example. But it is just a very smooth and effortless driving experience. And if you have to, floor it, you can still get the power. And the CVT is quick to react, so I have absolutely zero complaints, and especially if you're in full electric mode, which it does up to highway speeds. It's nice, it's comfy. And you can couple that with the fact that, first of all, the steering effort is very minimal, and the suspension and the general ride quality is just very good. It kind of glides over smooth pavement, and even if you have like imperfections and bumps in the road, potholes, it really eats them up quite well. Better than the Kia Carnival, but this definitely rides better than the Kia Carnival, and is one of the better riding vehicles outside of like proper full-time luxury vehicles. So yeah, this is exactly how you want a minivan to be. Just smooth, effortless. You can focus on whatever else you might need to focus on. But we still like to do a bit of silly things when we're driving. For example, we like to do handling tests. So up front there, we're gonna do our little handling test, as we always do. And it drives totally fine. Like, Honestly, for a minivan, it actually drives pretty well. It is very flat through corners and quite progressive in terms of its understeer, so you really feel when you start to approach that limit. So honestly, it's kind of fun to push this. Not that you ever whip, but we always do it because it's just a fun activity. Anyhow, back to actually what you care about. So we already established it rides very nice and it's very effortless to drive. The steering, the turning circle, by the way, is tiny. Like, this thing is so easy to turn around on a road. You won't have to like navigate as much. That also makes it easy to park. Really good. NVH, nice. You have to be a little careful with the second row seat belts, that you kind of put them in a spot where they can't rattle around, because the passenger side second row seat, the seatbelt likes to rattle around, but once you just kind of wrap it around the armrest, it's totally fine. And on that, it is nice and quiet in here. You're very well isolated, and then you can use your 20-speaker Harman Kardon, which we've already talked about, which sounds very nice, to just have a relaxing driving experience. This is a minivan, so it's all about going from A to B effortlessly and comfortably. And I think it absolutely excels at doing that. Now, in terms of tech though, we've already said that in terms of tech, at least on the interior, the Kia Carnival will be better, will be more feature-rich, and maybe even a little more comfortable in terms of second row heated seats and ventilated seats. But how is it if we out on the road? Unfortunately, the same. Now, you have all the kind of things you need in the car, which is like lane keep assist, one that's actually fairly decent because it keeps you in the lane even if you divert quite a bit. You have emergency braking, my number one safety assist that I want to have in a car. And of course, then you have all like the adaptive cruise control. And interestingly, by the way, you can have adaptive cruise control and normal cruise control. You have like separate buttons. Normally, adaptive cruise control replaces regular cruise control, but not here. Just a little fun fact. But yeah, it doesn't have the advanced steering assist that like actively centers you in the lane like a Kia does, and that might be something you miss on longer drives, but at least it is nicer to drive than the Kia, so the usual driving that you will do will be a little less in terms of like fatigue, will be a little less affecting your fatigue or your energy levels, unlike the Kia, which might just be a teeny tiny bit less relaxing to drive outside of the assist. But no, I think this is just a great car if you just need to go from A to B, and it doesn't need to be super exciting. It doesn't need to be an experience that you remember, because the experience that you remember will be the people you are with, the people you have in the back, and the location you go to. You just want to go from A to B safely, and that is what the Pacifica does. With that being said, I think it's time to sum it all up in the final thoughts. Okay, final thoughts on the 2022 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid Limited. And as you would expect from a minivan made by Chrysler, it's going to be very good. It's super comfy, it is nice to drive, it is spacious. There's really not much that you could want more. Except for the fact that it is quite pricey actually. It is priced aspect at $65,010 Canadian. Now, of course, it's a hybrid, so there's incentives. Right now in Ontario, you get about $5,000 off, but depending on where you are and when you watch this video, this might be a little different. Now, if you want a hybrid minivan, the Pacifica is your only choice. And it does that in a very, very good way. And even if you take one of the cheaper alternatives, over time it'll amortize with the savings you have by having a plug-in hybrid. But if we take out the hybrid component and just look at minivans in general, I think the game and the result does change a little bit, because the Kia Carnival we've tested last year clocks in at about $7,000 to $8,000 less, even when fully equipped. So if your only criteria is having a minivan, it doesn't need to be a plug-in hybrid, I would say go for the Carnival, because it is just a little better in terms of features and what it delivers for the price. But if you either want to have a hybrid or you want to have an American car that is built domestically, this one is actually not built far away from here, it's in Windsor, Ontario, so just on the other side of the river from Detroit, then the Pacifica by all means is an excellent choice and you will not regret getting it. You just have to pay a little bit more money for it. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, remember to like and subscribe, because we upload reviews and POV test drives almost every single week. And other than that, yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you liked it, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.